So, in the fall of 2011, I was starting my senior year of high school. Big, exciting time, lots of changes, planning for the future. And it was then I realized that 12 years of sitting behind a desk was just exhausting. Not to mention it's not very good for your back. So I wanted to take a break, and I decided to put off starting college for a semester in favor of taking advantage of this moment of transition in order to go out into the world. And as you can see from my pictures, I did. I spent 6 months and I went and traveled through Spain, France, and Germany on my own, independent of a program. I had never been on a plane before, or much less out of the country. And because my parents told me that I had to, I paid for it with my own money. At the time, my research was telling me to do, shooting for anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000. How many 17, 18-year-olds do you know that can make that kind of money in 8 to 10 months? Yeah, not too many, so the numbers just seemed impossible. Now, when I talk to people, share my experiences and my travels, I hear a lot of, man, I really wish I could do that, or I would love to have done that at your age. And me, being a curious person, I usually want to know, why not? What stopped you? The response is almost always, oh, I don't have the money. I can't afford that. And so you start to think of, okay, what are all the things that I have to pay for? You've got transatlantic plane tickets, train tickets, bus tickets, food, hostels, hotels, tickets to museums, monuments, attractions, budgeting for emergencies, and if you want to do a volunteer program, usually those ask for a chunk of change. And one cost builds up on top of another, until you've got this big, huge, expensive wall in front of you, and at 17, it just loomed over me. And now I realize that it towers over a lot of people who want to travel. And I mean, what is it? For us, it's a treated piece of green paper with symbolic meaning and value because it's convenient. You know, it acts as this economic middleman negotiating between what we want and what we're willing to give to get it. And it's only when we have enough of it that we get to travel. But, I mean, isn't traveling a luxury? It's only this excessive extra thing that people with means can do. But at 17, the internet was telling me a totally different story. It was telling me about these global nomads, these people who go out and travel the world for years on pocket change. I spent a grand total of $2,500 on my trip. Notice that's half of the low end of the figures I gave you earlier. $2,500. And I made the majority of that during the trip when I worked as a nanny. See, there's a way around that expensive wall, and it starts by rejecting the idea that traveling and wealth are mutually exclusive. It takes advantage of this big, beautiful contraption called the internet, and it invests in people instead of paper. And it's just the internet's ability to network and connect people. It connected me with other people, me, a stranger, a foreigner, a person they met on the internet. And these people were willing to give me a place at their table, a bed in their house, a ride in their car, all in exchange for lending a hand or sometimes even just sharing a story. And believe me, I've got plenty of stories, everywhere from Polish moonshine to why someone would drop an entire career to go live in a grass hut in the middle of the Pacific. No, I couldn't afford to climb the Eiffel Tower, or stay in hotels, or eat in restaurants, or take taxi cabs. But I met Eliza, a girl who let me stay on a trundle bed in her teeny tiny studio apartment. Or Fran, the ceramic artist who just needed help with her giant garden. And I would never trade a million of these for all the experiences I had or relationships that I built with people. In the insecurity of traveling with insufficient funds, it forces a person to rely on themselves and their own abilities. I mean, yeah, it's difficult and stressful and bad things do happen. You sleep through a flight or miss a train or a host cancels on you at the last minute, but it's when you're uncomfortable and you're insecure that you're you go out and you seek out that comfort and security, and you adapt and learn and change. And it's the kind of growth that not everyone can find from books in a classroom or a desk in an office or on the job site. When we accept the idea that traveling isn't only for the wealthy, we start to feel entitled to it, like you really can pack a bag and change your geography if you feel like it. When we no longer have to save up our money for months or years, it becomes something that we can do now. You're much less likely to dip into it or push it off, tuck that idea into a desk drawer for later. It's no longer for something that's meant for after grad school or, the wedding or when the kids are born or when they're out of the house or after retirement. You can put in the extra work and the planning and the penny pinching and make it happen. And when I came back, everyone, was calling me world traveler and all that kind of stuff. And I felt sort of weird about it because to me it was only one trip. This had to be a fluke. I had to just get lucky. Of course there are risks. You're a woman traveling alone with people you met on the internet. Are crazy. And yeah, I had people tell me I was gonna be kidnapped or mugged, but you know what? None of that happened. I rode horses through the Normandy countryside. I scaled up the inside of ruined castles and swam in the ocean. I never felt in danger. And so worrying about the fact that, I wasn't going to be able to do this again, I went out and did it again. And this past summer, I went back to Spain, and I went to Ireland, and I went to Turkey, and had the experience all over again, and was able to build off that existing knowledge that I had. And I found that I wanted to be way more committed to this idea, and that we need to support the people in the communities that commit themselves to this lifestyle because they open the map for everybody else. We need to be the people that open our homes and share our cities and help them out along the way. We should be encouraging ourselves, our friends, our family members to go out and do what they want and makes them happy regardless of a price tag. Because when one person challenges to improve themselves, they go out and see the absolute kindness and diversity and generosity that exists in the world, the rest of the world improves just a little bit with them. Thank you.